the lobby of the NYU Langone Medical Center. This is Doctor Radio.
My guest this morning is Bryan Ganey. Bryan, good morning.
Good morning, Doctor. Thank you for having me on.
Sure. Did you get to watch the Grammys?
I did. I waited and waited for Adele to come on, and after Adele got done singing, I went straight to bed.
Yeah, and I missed her singing because I was too tired and I had to get up so early this morning. But she's a great artist, and who does not enjoy her music? I think we all do. Bryan, tell us a little bit about your story. It's an incredible story. Tell us about your story and your message.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And again, thank you for having me on.
Sure.
Well, I was like a lot of people. I think I lived the American lifestyle. I had, over the course of my life, I'd been a heavy kid. I got heavier and heavier as my life went on. And I just didn't think I could do anything about it. I didn't think that there was any way for me to ever lose weight, to get healthy. And what got me started was about a year and 8 months ago, June the 20th of 2010. I started experiencing shortness of breath. And I did the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life. I actually let it go on for almost 2 days before I got medical attention.
How old were you then, Bryan?
37. I'm 39 now, so I was 37 at the time.
37 years old, getting short of breath. Now, one wouldn't expect a 37-year-old to get short of breath, and you sort of poo-pooed it. You try to push it under the carpet.
I did, like an absolute idiot. I would get very short of breath doing just the smallest of tasks. I would walk a short distance and felt like I had been running. And I thought, well, maybe I'm just tired, or maybe I'm just dehydrated. And so I again, one of the dumbest things I've ever done is I went home and went to bed. And the next day I got up and went to work, and I didn't make it to work. I got very close to getting in the door, and I just ran out of oxygen. I couldn't breathe at all. I was just suffocating. And I was lucky in that I was having some car trouble, and my parents were bringing me to work, and they were there and took me to the hospital, the emergency room. And I was certain, as I've ever been about anything, I was sure that I was dying of a heart attack.
Oh,
and I guess it's normal for people to self-diagnose. I had no idea what I was talking about, but I thought for sure. I thought, this is the end. I'm not going to make it. I was just certain that I had met my end. And come to find out, after about 9 hours in the emergency room, the problem that they had is because I weighed 577 pounds, which I didn't know that number. I found that out later. That I didn't fit in any of the machines that they wanted to use to try and figure out what was wrong with me. So they weren't able to do, for instance, like a CT scan. But everything looked okay heart-wise, and I was relieved to find out that I wasn't having a heart attack, and it didn't seem like I was going to die right away. And then come to find out that it was a pulmonary embolism, that I had several blood clots in both lungs that were cutting off my oxygen.
Right. Now, pulmonary embolism is a blood clot, as you say. Most often it's something that arises in the legs. Rarely it can come from the heart itself, but I don't know in your case, but in the majority of cases, a clot that develops in the legs goes off to the pulmonary circulation and blocks that pulmonary circulation and produces symptoms, as you described, this sort of rather sudden onset of shortness of breath and low oxygen levels. And in some people, a pulmonary embolism can be immediately fatal. Not in the majority of cases, in very few, but it certainly can be. But in others, such as yourself, there's this significant shortness of breath. So how did they treat that, Bryan? How did they treat your pulmonary embolism?
Well, the doctor, and there were several doctors, and there was a cardiologist that had seen me, and he said, I can't get you into the machine to be able to know this for sure. And it was devastating and extremely embarrassing to be told, but I'm glad it happened. But he said, I think, based on how your blood oxygen level is dropping, I think what it is I think it's a pulmonary embolism. I think that you have blood clots in your lungs, like you just said, doctor, that form in the legs. They travel to your lungs. They're killing you. So what they did is they admitted me into the hospital, And for the next 6 days, the most miserable 6 days of my time on this earth, they had me hooked up to an IV pump and nonstop, just bag after bag of heparin that they pumped into my blood.
Right, that's a blood thinner to help thin the blood and dissolve the clots.
Exactly, that's exactly what it was. And other medications. I wasn't allowed to shower for those 6 days because I couldn't, I was so out of breath. I was on oxygen 24 hours a day. I couldn't get out of bed. I wasn't able to really do anything without assistance. But that's what it was. It was 6 straight days of that heparin and the bruises all over my body from head to toe that were a result of that. But it saved my life.
Right.
And it motivates me to this day. If there's ever a weak moment or ever a moment where I'm getting lazy or I don't have any motivation, I think back to the misery of being in that hospital, and it pushes me forward. It really does.
So, Bryan, there you were back June the 20th, 2010, close to death, 577 pounds, 37 years old. Fast forward to today. What are you weighing?
Well, I actually just weighed in over the weekend, and I'm excited to say that I'm at 293.
293. That is just incredible. And number one, congratulations. That's amazing. That's inspirational. From 577 down to below 300 pounds. It's incredible. I imagine you feel you still have a little ways to go?
I do. You know, when I started out doing this, I remember when the doctors told me, he said, you know, if you tried to do this on your own, it could very well take you 3 years. You know, at the rate of 10 pounds a month, Mr. Ganey, it's going to take you 3 years to do this, and this is why you should have weight loss surgery. And I remember thinking, and I knew I wasn't going to have the surgery. I didn't believe in it. I didn't think it was for me. I didn't think it was my answer. I remember thinking, you know, that's perfect. If it takes me 3 years to lose this weight, then that will be 3 years that I have learned how to eat properly and that I have learned how to maintain a proper weight.
You know, that's so interesting because that's so not the American way, if you think about it. The American way is a quick fix, and I think 99 out of 100 people would have jumped at the weight loss surgery. But I'm fascinated to hear about why you didn't, and also what you've done in order to get yourself so healthy compared to where you were.
Yeah, you know, that's a very controversial thing, the weight loss surgery. And the first thing I want to say is, before I say this, I take nothing away from anyone who's had the weight loss surgery, and if they've had success with it, and it's been good for them, then good for you. Because if you've been successful, if you're healthier, if you're moving your body, if you're eating right, I'm not going to be the one to stand here and say you shouldn't have done what you did.
Sure.
I'm just talking about myself.
Right.
But the reason that I rejected it, and every doctor, well, really, for the last 20 years, my health insurance would have always paid for it. It wouldn't have cost me anything. But every doctor that I came into contact with, that was the first option that they gave me. You know, you should have this weight loss surgery. You'll only be in the hospital a few days. It's not going to be. It's gotten so much better, and this is the answer for you. And now I guess we all know ourselves best. And I just knew that if I perceived that I was taking any kind of shortcut, if I thought for a minute that I was doing something where I wasn't going to put out the full effort, that if I wasn't going to do what I knew to be right, and that if I was going to continue to lie to myself and think, oh, I'll just go have this surgery and I'll be able to keep eating the way I've been eating, I won't put out the effort, I just knew it wouldn't work for me. I just knew I wouldn't have success. I didn't believe in it. And the absolute last thing I wanted to do was to have what could be a dangerous procedure, that there is a chance, and I guess it's a small chance these days, but there's a chance that I could die, and that it just wouldn't work out for me.